Of all the chalets I've been involved with over the years, this one really is the best example of a true grand design. It took nearly 10 years to build this place. Let's take a look around Chalet Tataali. At its heart, this project was always about creating a home with real creativity, somewhere to have fun and really chase that dream of an exquisite home in the mountains. So the journey started about 10 years ago, back in 2015. And I think like many projects of this kind of nature, it really evolved over time. So originally when the original owners purchased this plot location, there was already an existing chalet here, which has actually been wrapped into this design. And when you look back at how that evolved over the duration of the build, it really did keep on expanding. It was an extremely creative process, both by the client, but also the architect, the interior designer, the project manager. There really were sort of these various sources of input and creativity that came into this project. And that, I mean, you can see that in the end result here. There are so many ideas, so many features, so many facilities that really does set it apart from the majority of builds you see in the mountains. I think when you reflect, a lot of chalets in the Alps, when they start to get bigger and they add more features and facilities, they're lovely places, but they're just scaled up properties. Actually at their heart, the core spaces, the living rooms, the bedrooms and the design, they follow a similar theme. And even though they are a bit bigger, they're not necessarily that different in terms of the space and the architecture and the atmosphere. But here is definitely not like that. There are unique touches everywhere. Every space has bespoke elements to it. In fact, that's a key nature to this property. There are like oversized doors, there are curved walls, there are bespoke handmade components in practically every space. It made it an incredibly complex project to deliver, but all of those little details really do add up in the end result. So why would you choose to stay here? I think for me that would be, it comes back to that original design brief about having fun. And if you, as a group, if you can really bring that energy and passion, then this is a property that's really going to give that back to you. It's going to echo that for all the facilities and the creativity of the spaces. It's going to create a really unique atmosphere for you to celebrate with your friends or your family. And if you can bring that energy, it's going to reward you. The chalet's really sunken into the hillside. We've got a lot of different levels and the property hides its size quite a lot from the road. That was actually one of the design briefs as well, was to create a relatively simple facade that didn't give too much away until you entered the property. And I think they've achieved that really well. When you look at the property from the front, you can kind of get a sense that there's maybe a little bit more to it than meets the eye. But when you look at the property from the rear, the true size and grandeur of the place really reveals itself. It's interesting being here now because it very much sort of causes me to reflect on the build process, because it really did take a long time. It was such a big part of people's lives. You know, at times it was very intense, really highly pressured. You know, we were speaking about certain episodes of Grand Designs earlier where, you know, that trauma and that pressure and the impact that has on some of the people involved. And there's a lot of that is true here as well. I think it would be fair to say at times it was a bit of a battle to create this. And I think when you have so much creativity, you have so many passionate people involved, you're always going to get tensions with that. And this is a really difficult and complex building. It wasn't easy to make, like I said, there's bespoke elements to it all over the place. And it was really hard. It was really hard to do this, but you know, good things are never easy. And I think the proof is in the pudding here. So the main brief as you came in through the front door to this sort of upper landing level was to have glimpses of different parts of the chalet. Because it is so big, the team at the same time wanted to try and keep a sense of connection. So as you come in here, you can see out across one of several terraces. You've got a great view, immediately gives you context to where you are. But you can also see down into the living room and the bar. So, some of your group was already there chilling out. You'd be able to greet them. You can see down to the dining room, to the kitchen or the show kitchen just beyond. And then from this gallery here, you can just about see a little bit into the games room and even all the way down into the spa. And revealing the different levels and the different areas of the property, I think that was really important to the architect. What better way to have fun than come through the front door, you kick your shoes off, you dive down the slide, and you're in the games room. It's a perfect metaphor for the vision the owners were trying to create. So the main dining room, the most obvious feature is the table, which is enormous. I don't know how long it is, but we must be at over 4 meters long, I think. So the chalet sleeps up to 14 people, and pretty much everyone can sit at the dining table at the same time. That's a detail which is often missed. But again, I think it's very fitting to the fact that this chalet does work well with a big group. And then you've got the display kitchen. So there's actually a professional chef's kitchen just downstairs. There's a dumbwaiter hidden away. But this is where they can finish the meal, they can run the service, or if the family's staying here by themselves and they need to do a little bit of their own cooking, you've got all the main facilities here as well. So it's that really nice balance. So the main living space of this chalet works really well. I really like it. It's perhaps a little unconventional in that before you get to the main lounge, you actually come through this bar area, but it's a pretty epic bar. You got the wine cellar, which is like really on show, real statement. And then, a private bar here. The interior design is really contemporary. You've got these dark finishes with the accented with copper touches. Definitely makes a statement, but it feels really cool. You could well imagine sort of unwinding here with your group, enjoying some drinks and beverages. And I like that it's connected to the living space, but at the same time it is slightly shielded by the central fireplace, which obviously is open on both sides, so both zones get to enjoy that. But then as you come through to the main living space, you just have that slight sense of separation, which I think is important, otherwise it might feel a little bit too dominated by the bar. But by the time you get into this zone, you're just in a really nice living room, and then it becomes all about the view and the light, which is exactly what you want when you're relaxing here. As we come through here, you get a little bit of a glimpse at one of the more unique features of the property, which is the climbing wall. We'll take a look at that later. That was a very creative way to use. The space there was actually originally just going to be a light well to take light down to the bottom of the property, and they decided to make use of it. And then from a showpiece point of view, the cinema is pretty epic. You've got a huge screen, some very fancy LED lighting, 3 layers of seats, Atmos surround sound. It's definitely a pretty cool place to watch a movie. So the bedrooms they're spread across 3 different pods. So the idea is that different groups or different families can spread out and have their own spaces. So I don't know that it's the master suite per se, because all of the rooms are pretty big and very luxurious, but what was conceived as the owner's bedroom accommodation is on the upper level up here. So as we come into the that master suite, as it were, first of all, you got the kids' bedroom. I say kids because it's a full-size room. It's got a super king bed, so it's perfectly fine for adults to stay in here as well. But it's got that sense of fun and slight cheekiness that maybe came out from it being, I guess, originally envisaged for the family's children. So the bed is up and it's sort of hunkered into this nook with sort of padded walls around it. So you've kind of got this sort of, I don't know, almost like a grown-up bunk bed feel to it, which is quite cool. And then some other creative features, whether that's the lighting, sort of curved wardrobes, just that creativity coming through, which we see again and again in this building. And then through into the main bedroom area itself, which is pretty cool. You've got this, you're up in the eaves, so you've got this really warm, protected feeling. and the view from bed out up the valley goes all the way to the Tête de Boston and the Dent Blanche beyond, which are some really high peaks. They're nearly always snow-capped. You know, pretty incredible view to wake up to in the morning. So we're down now in the games room. We've got the arrival of the slide, so you can come crashing down into these huge, great big bean bags, and then just a space to chill out. So again, I think they've done it. They wanted to create somewhere that was fun for all the family, so clearly it's somewhere that like younger members of a group might retreat to watch movies or to play games. There's games consoles and things in here, but I think it's got that, I don't know, it's got a slightly modern take on a 60s swingy, you know, charm to it that I'm sure adults would come down here and play as well. And monkey bars, who doesn't need monkey bars? I mean, that's a good challenge to end your ski day on if ever I've seen one. So small, but actually not small design feature here to talk about is the doors. They're like 3-meter doorways, which was a request to, I don't know, create height, create a sense of space, sense of luxury. It's actually really difficult to purchase and install doors of that height, which again just speaks to the, I don't know, the bespoke custom nature of this build. This is the final of our bedroom suites, but this is probably one of my favourite rooms. It just, I don't know, it's got a really nice balance to it. You've got great natural light, you've got your own private terrace. It's just a beautiful room. The climbing wall is pretty cool. Like we said earlier, it's basically it was a creative use of a light well that they wanted to put in to bring light down into this space, and then someone said, hey, let's close it in and put a climbing wall in here. So you've got a self belay system, so it's actually very easy to use. These are the type of things that you find in all sorts of, I don't know, clip and climb type centres now. They're quite straightforward. And then the wall's quite clever. It looks, in some ways, it looks quite easy because you've got all these different holds, but actually it's got a computer system linked up to it, and you can program different routes. The fun maybe slightly steps to one side here, and just luxury and indulgence takes over. I was looking back at some of the early floor plans and designs this morning, and the original version of the spa was a similar outline to some extent, but significantly smaller. And really here, as the boundaries got pushed higher and higher during the sort of the evolution of the project, this expanded, and it is now, I mean, it's hard to imagine a much more luxurious space in a private home. It's pretty incredible. The swimming pool itself, I think, is about 12 meters. It's also got counter-current jets. It's got massage jets that come up, but we won't put them on now because they're very powerful, quite noisy. And a big waterfall. You've got the swing in the middle. Just outside, the cover's over at the moment, but the hot tub is just beyond, and it's designed to be like a symmetry process. So when that's open, the water almost appears to flow into out. They decided, there was a consideration of having an indoor-outdoor pool. They decided not to do that, to keep the two separate. I think indoor-outdoor pools are quite cool, but I think that's probably a sensible idea that you've got an indoor swimming space or an outdoor hot tub. I think that works really, really nicely. In terms of other spa facilities, you've got the sauna in the main space here, and then in a minute we'll also have a look. It's quite a cool steam room treatment space. I always quite like it when certain parts of a spa like reveal themselves, particularly the treatment room. I think because the treatment is quite a private, it's quite a private moment, a private experience. So I think having that in a slightly removed area where you can be taken through to that sort of, you know, more of a privacy zone. I think if you're talking about really good spa design, that's something that's quite important to have. So here they've achieved that, but they've also really had some fun with it. And we see the curves again, which are sort of a feature. And you've got this really cool corridor which leads down to various features, but it just snakes and unwinds its way all the way through. You first get greeted by a really cool steam room. You've then got a really playful shower with a big bucket drench drench system above it, which is a great way to cool down after you've used the steam room or the sauna. And then right at the end, you finally arrive at the treatment room, where you can, be pampered and truly relax. So it's been really interesting personally shooting this video today and having the opportunity to properly reflect on this project, because it was an incredibly challenging build, and I've referred a few times to the original owners. And the reason I've used that phrase is because unfortunately they weren't actually able to finish the project for a variety of reasons. It kind of ran away a little bit, and they had to step away before its completion, which always had a tinge of sadness, and I think it's something that was carried by a lot of people that were involved in it. But I think it's fantastic now to reflect on what they created, not just them, but the whole team, that original vision, how that's been translated by the architect, the designers, the project managers. And when you step back and take it away, it really is special here. It was tough. It was a really tough journey, but the end result is incredible.